Welcome again to All About the Bash here on the Odd-Sided Dice YouTube channel. This is episode number 3, or our third build in the series where we're going about creating kit bashes to sell on eBay to hopefully raise as much funds as we can for the charity Models for Heroes. I'd like at the start of this video to just take a few moments to thank those who have supported us for the first couple that we've done, whether that's supplying us with odds and sods for their own kit boxes that they're not going to make use of, to those of you who have sent a small amount of funds via our Kofi link that's available in the video description below, and also to the 2 people who have bought the first 2 builds that we've done in this series. I know thanks comes as well from the guys at Models for Heroes, and I can only pass on their thanks as well. But even though it's only a small amount, it helps them carry on with the really important and really useful work that they're doing as part of their charity. Now in this build I wanted to do something that's been percolating away in the back of my head for a while. One of the units that I really like the aesthetic of within the 40k universe is that of the Noise Marines. That Slanesh band of heavy metalers wandering around the battlefield with their sonic weapon guitars, etc, etc. But I've always thought to myself that a hero or champion of this unit should really be a lead singer. So going on the Google search through various bands' lead singers from the genre, often when you see the lead singers or the frontmen at the front of the stage, normally when they're singing they've got their foot up on the monitor at the front of the stage. So this is the look I wanted to go for, replacing that tactical rock that GW seem to be going for and actually putting it so he's got his foot up on this monitor. As the basis for the legs, I've had this pair which I believe is from one of the Havoc or the Raptor kits from the Chaos Space Marines. And to be quite honest, it gave my legs the position that I was really after, with one leg straight and one leg cocked up, so I could actually put it into position without doing too much work to it. And once all the parts were cleaned up and glued into place, I could more look at how I'm going to actually create that sonic speaker or monitor that I'm actually going to have him leaned up against. For this I went back to my kit box and I pulled from it 2 parts that's really, I think, going to sell the aesthetic of that speaker. One being the communications backpack from the Imperial Guard kit, and the other one, which I believe is the top of a drone from the Tau kit. With these 2 parts glued together in place, I'm sure it's going to give the illusion of some kind of speaker system that our Noise Marine could be carrying around the battlefield with him. Now I wanted to make sure that it was going to fit into place and not be too high for the legs that I've created. So with this I decided to do something that I haven't done with any of the kit bashes before, and actually include a base within the build. Once I checked and was happy with that I could get the parts to sit on the base correctly, it's just a case of gluing him into place and then attaching the leg in that position where he's got his foot up on top of it. So just with these 3 simple parts I was able to create this. Now at this point what I did, I added some of this Vallejo texture paint to it, just because I thought it'd be easier to do that stage now rather than when I added more parts to the model and things started to get in the way. But it also had the added benefit of adding a bit more support to the feet and made the model a lot more secure in the pose and in the position that I got him in. So now it's time to work on the torso. Now what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to again raid my bits box, and for this I'm going to use a couple of third-party resin parts to add to our build. Both of these are from Spellcrow, and the link in the description will be available to take you to their websites where you can find these parts for yourself. The first one I plumped for was this torso, which seemed to have the start of a tabard, probably the beginnings of some Templar Space Marine body, but it really reminded me of maybe a cut-off band t-shirt that our Noise Marine would be wearing over the top of his armour. And the head, with its flowing hair and shouting mouth, really again pulled that whole idea of a lead singer or frontman for the build. Because these are third party parts, again, just a little bit of adjustment is required, removing the odd nubs that are not required because I'm going to be fitting GW parts back onto these rather than the other Spellcrow parts that these torsos are designed to go with. And once all this adjustment is complete, and because these are resin parts, we use super glue to affix them to the plastic legs in the GW kit. So now we have the basic framework of our Noise Marine to be able to add all our little parts. It's going to take this model and give it more of the rock and roll look, or the rock star look that we're going for in this build. Now I'm not going to put the head on the model at this point, but I just wanted to have an idea of roughly where I can position it, because the next part of the build I'm going to do is create the microphone that he's going to be singing into. Now for this arm, I'm going to dip back into my Chaos Space Marine parts, and I'm going to pull 2 arms and a skull from that bits box to be able to create the microphone. Now what I want to do, I want to take the bend of one arm, attach to that at the end of the gauntlet, the hand that's carrying the chainsword, but then remove the majority of the chainsword itself to create some kind of chaos looking microphone that our hero is going to be singing into. So here it is with all the cuts and all the material removed. So now it's just a case of now a little bit of cleanup to allow us to fix all these parts together and get the microphone in the position we need it to be. Now for this, what I'm going to have is basically a mock-up of how the arm is going to go. So for this I'm going to use a bit of blue tack, and returning to the model, which you can see I've done a few more bits and pieces on, but they were just basically putting arms on the model and a few more bits of terrain on the base. But I'm going to use the blue tack to actually stick the microphone arm into position, so I can get an idea of where I need to position the arm and the hand, so it looks more like that our Noise Marine is actually singing into the microphone rather than just hitting himself on the head with it. Because again, this is Slaanesh and it's more about the glam metal than the punk. Now because I want some working time with this, and because these are both GW plastic parts, I can revert back to my plastic glue, give me a little bit more working time on the model. So I'm going to try it in position first, and you can see hopefully what I'm going for with this position on the model. But obviously I'm not going to tell if it works until I reintroduce the head back onto the body. Now this is where I found it useful to use Spellcrow parts. Because the heads and the torsos are designed to go together, we've got that indentation at the neck, which means I can basically just put the head onto the torso and see how it looks with the position I've got for this microphone hand. As you can see, it puts it far too close to the face, and the head itself is unable to really sit in a natural position of what I was going for. So I'm going to somehow have to adjust the hand that's holding the microphone. What I decided to do is have the model more facing forwards and to bring the microphone arm down a bit. What this does, it obviously clears for the position to allow me to put the head of the microphone on, which I'll do in a minute. But it's also not going to obscure the actual face of the head that we've decided to use. So I want you to be able to see that he's shouting and screaming into this microphone. So because the glue at the joint for the wrist has already started to cure, we can take the arm off, remove the excess blue tack that we've got. Again, just running it on even more blue tack itself, we'll be able to pull all the little slivers of blue tack that you might have left. And again now, it's just going to go, leave it for a few seconds until we've decided that what we're going to do is actually fix it into place. At this stage, I just wanted to do a bit of clean up at this joint, and actually to shave a bit of material off, to actually twist the arm out a bit, so again it would even more further clear the face, and maybe put it into a position where we can see all of what's going on this model. This positioning of the arm was basically the last main part of the build, and everything else was just adding little trinkets and little items to the model to really carry off the complete look I was going for. Namely now, pull the skull from the GW Skulls kit to act as the top of the microphone that Billy was going to be singing into. I added a twisted mechanical cable to go from the microphone to the speaker that we've created. And finally I fixed into place both the head and a Chaos Space Marine backpack to the back of the model to complete the entire look of what we were going for. So now it's just our final stage to get some primer on the model to tie all these bits and pieces in, make it ready to go up on eBay. So here it is, our completed Chaos Space Marine, Noise Marine, Captain, Hero, whatever you choose to use him within your army. Again, this model is now available for sale on eBay for the first 10 days after this video. So we're hoping that if you like this model, you consider following the link in the description and going and putting a bid up against this model. Remember that 100% of the money that you bid will be going towards Models for Heroes to help with their work. Thanks for watching this video. It's been a real pleasure putting these kits together for the first 3 that I've done, and I've got ideas in mind for a few more coming up in future videos. So again, if you want to make sure that you catch those videos when they come out, do the usual that you do for most other YouTube channels. Hit us with a subscribe, do the bell notification at the bottom, and never miss out on one of these odd-sided dice kit bashes. So thanks, and I'll see you all on the next bash.